people to wake up, be present, become aware of what's really happening outside of our own comfort zone.
So we're taking a stand here to get aid for Ukraine.
Ukrainians, Portlanders, and refugees gathering at Pioneer Courthouse Square, hoping to garner support, seeking help for their friends and family caught in a war overseas.
And to be able to wake up in the morning, not worrying about what's going to happen next.
This show of support, just a slice of what is being called a global community.
And this is just one place, one city. We care very much what's happening in Ukraine.
Yulia Brogdorf says she's awfully familiar with exactly what's happening, leading a nonprofit that helps Ukrainians get what she calls much-needed supplies.
We have competent medical professionals who don't have enough tools to do their job. We have competent defenders of Ukraine who don't have the tools to defend their land because of lack of the equipment.
Brogdorf calls herself a Ukrainian through and through, having spent time on the front lines herself as a mental health professional. In fact, she says she'll be heading back to her homeland next week, a place she says people go to sleep, unsure if they'll wake up.
Some very basic things become important: humanity, kindness, being with your loved ones.
It's a community event where you can see dozens of people showed up to show their support, where they say the more, the merrier.
We're trying to reach the world.
To stand in solidarity, to stand with Ukraine.
The war still exists and people still dying.
But what Ukraine does have is resiliency, the spirit of yes I can and yes I will, because what we fight for is our home.
So big thank you for anybody who donated and helped the people of Ukraine.
The most desired wish of Ukrainian soul is to have peace.
And live in a free democratic society.
A place for our children for the future.
You have no family members or anything, so you gotta go where you go.
Behind a fence on 149th and Cooch Street, rows of tents and overflowing shopping carts have been home to Darwan Greenberry for the past 6 months, until Tuesday morning.
They kind of freaked a lot of us out. Loudspeakers and being told to walk backwards with your hands on your heads, and it's crazy.
Portland police conducted a sweep of the camp after investigating what they called a hub of criminal activity on a piece of private property. They said when they arrived, around 20 people fled the area, and they arrested 30 others on various charges.
This is probably one of the worst ones I've seen in a long time, especially the criminal activity that was taking place surrounding this. And it always changes it too when it involves private property.
Property owner Chris Henderson previously spoke with Fox 12 about helping coordinate the eviction process for a camp that neighbors tell us has been a constant concern.
I don't feel comfortable in my own neighborhood anymore. It's really scary, just to say the least.
Mona McDonald has lived around the corner for more than 30 years and says it's been a far cry from the quiet, peaceful neighborhood where she raised her kids.
People outside late at night, getting out of the cars, screaming and yelling and dealing drugs.
Now that the campers are being moved, some say they're working with social workers to find a place in tiny home shelters and get a fresh start.
Some people like being homeless. I don't. I'm aiming for those tiny homes to try to stay there the best I can.
We won't take it anymore.
New Seasons Market employees on strike during the busy Sunday grocery shopping rush.
I care about the union, and I care about participating and trying to make the lives of all of the employees better.
Taylor Orendruff works as a cashier at the grocery store's Slabtown location. She organized Sunday's strike, saying it's time for front-end workers to stand up to New Seasons Market.
We are striking because the duties of in-store Instacart shopping, they used to have a position in the store that was specifically for that. It's now being rolled into front-end duties, in addition to all of the other duties that we have as cashiers.
Orendruff says the company made this unilateral change to all of its locations while they're in contract negotiations with NSLU, the union that represents hundreds of employees.
It's a pretty big job, it's very time-consuming, and because we're already short-staffed in the front end, and we obviously have the duties of cashiering and taking care of all the people who are coming in person in the store, that would be a lot of work to add to our plates.
Orendruff says striking is more than just protesting the new workload. She says it's about safer working conditions and better pay. And Orendruff says there's a general feeling of frustration at all of New Season Market's locations that negotiations have been going on for over a year, with no deal close to being made.
I think that having a good contract would positively affect so many people who work for New Seasons. We paid a living wage to have an attendance policy that is allowing people to continue working and not getting fired for being sick or taking needed time off, having health care that will keep them healthy and able to live and be okay.
Orendruff says a better contract will not only benefit front-end workers, but also the customers.
I think that, if workers are well paid, they're healthy, they're happy, they're not having to come to work sick, that we can offer a lot more to our community in that way.
3 days stuck inside, and the ground was really slippery.
It's very fun after all that snow. It's just good to be out. It almost feels like being rebirthed.
I'm finally glad it's warm out. It was freezing cold. My mom hates cold. I guess I like cold a little. Like feeling the weather.
Whether you enjoyed seeing some snow or you hope it doesn't return, Portland park goers are happy to have their freedom back after weeks of winter weather.
It's beautiful out here. The sun is shining, the trees are growing, and life is good.
Well, after being trapped inside the house for almost a week, and the weather finally hit 50 degrees, and I was sitting around drinking coffee and reading the news and decided I've got to get out and get some exercise.
Just last week, Mount Tabor Park looked like this. Essentially impassable.
I mean, I heard about it on the news, but then to see this picnic shelter that, has been up for 50 years and just completely demolished. But it's great to see how the park has been taking care of it.
Melanie Marion says she lives right by the park and has seen it come back to life.
So I've seen how the cleanup's been going. The first couple of days it was bananas.
She says what you see now is a big improvement, and people were just happy to be outside, even if that means navigating around downed trees.
It's going to take a long time to clean it all up, so you just can't go wrong with just seeing it, appreciating that there's so many still standing, and what work that Portland is working on to really just clean up so much. It looks really good right now, better than we would have expected.
The overall message for Mount Tabor Park Saturday: make the best of the sun while we have it.
I think this is the big fake out. It's only February, the beginning of February, so we could get hit again with a winter storm. It's happened.